'Tis the season for many awesome things. Good food? Check. A nice little break from school? Check. Oh, and let's not forget the gifts. Big gifts, small gifts. Even that pet lizard your little brother caught and then gave you. Thanks, bro. Whatever the present, receiving a gift is never a bad thing. But have you ever wondered what kicked off the whole presents under the tree holiday? Giving gifts at Christmas actually started with one gift. It was a gift that would ultimately change people, history, and the world. And the thing is, this gift is still impacting people. Because once someone receives this gift, they pass it on to someone else. No wrapping, no card, no lizards. Just a personalized gift that has the potential to change someone's life. Because when it comes to Christmas, it's all in the present.
Christmas is the time of year when things like love and joy and peace and kindness and goodness are everywhere. We wrap all of those values and words into this mystic phrase that we call the Christmas spirit. No one really knows how to explain it exactly, but we all know what it is. And you know what gets me in the Christmas spirit faster than anything? Christmas lights. I love them. When I was a kid, my family would drive around for hours and look at them. And it didn't take long to realize that some of the houses in our neighborhood have a little more Christmas cheer than the others. My family did well to put up the Christmas tree. But a few houses down, it was a whole different story. Those people had thousands of lights. They had an inflatable snowman. They had this life-size snow globe with a Rudolph inside. That's the Christmas spirit. But just like nothing says Christmas spirit like the Christmas lights, nothing says Christmas is over like when the lights go out. Maybe your family takes down the lights the day after. Or maybe like mine, you wait halfway through January, realize you still haven't taken down that one strand of lights, and you just unplug it and hope that no one notices. Either way, it never seems like the season of lights lasts long enough. They burn bright, bring all this joy, make everything more cheerful for a month, and then they go back in the box for the rest of the year. Last week, we talked about how generosity and the Christmas spirit are always somehow connected. All of us seem to feel the urge to be more generous and giving during this time. And in that way, generosity has a lot in common with Christmas lights. At the beginning of the Christmas season, the feeling of giving starts to take root in our hearts and begins to come alive. It's kind of like you're taking generosity out of the box. You're untangling the cords, plugging it in, and you begin to think of ways that you can give all these gifts and presents to your friends and your family, and sometimes even complete strangers. It's amazing how it works, because outside of the last minute before someone's birthday, when else do you think about wanting to buy gifts for other people? But at Christmas, the idea burns bright. Then, when Christmas is over, it's like the lights go back in the box, and so does our generosity. And sure, it pops up every now and again during the year when there's a crisis or someone is in immediate need. But for the most part, generosity is a value that shows up at the Christmas season. Seasonal giving is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's actually a really good thing. Because even if it just helps one time a year, it helps other people. But it does more than that too, doesn't it? Have you ever noticed what happens when you give something? It makes you feel really good. You feel like a better person. Every time you participate in generosity, even in a small way, it changes you. It makes you more selfless. It makes you more aware of other people's needs. And it actually makes you happier. This is true whether you're a church person or not, whether you believe in God or not. Over and over, you'll find that the happiest people on earth are some of the most generous people on earth. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and the happier you are. So what I want to know is, why does something so good have to feel so temporary? Why do we only feel that generous Christmas spirit at Christmas time? And what would happen if it became part of our life during the other 11 months? It may sound crazy, but I think that's what the Christmas story is actually teaching us. And whether you grew up in church or not, you may be familiar with the Christmas story written by two of Jesus' followers, Matthew and Luke. Both of these men give us the details surrounding Jesus' birth. They tell the story of Mary and Joseph and angels and a baby in a manger. But I want to look at what another follower, John, said in his gospel. John didn't give details like Matthew and Luke did. Instead, he focused on what it all meant. He starts out by telling us that when Jesus came to earth, he brought something significant with him, light. He says it this way: "In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it." Maybe you've heard Jesus described this way. In fact, later in Jesus' ministry, he describes himself this way. And John introduces the idea here. When Jesus was born, he gave us light. Light to be able to see who God is, light to be able to see how much God loves us, and light to be able to see how much we need him. He turned the light on like it was a light bulb in a dark room for everyone, then and now, so that we can know what God is like. The light was an amazing and generous gift. And this gift wasn't just a one-time gift, but it was a present that's given to us and a present that's available to us all the time. John describes the continual gift this way: "From the fullness of his grace, we have all received one blessing after another." Do you know what that means? Jesus' birth has supplied us with an endless supply of blessing. Jesus is literally the gift that keeps on giving. For my birthday, one of my friends got me a gift kind of like this. Instead of a present that shows up one time in the mail, she got me a subscription to this gift service. The company picks out all of their favorite products and they send them to you once a month for an entire year. So the gifts just keep coming. I can barely start to enjoy this month's gift before the next one shows up. And John is saying that Jesus coming to earth to bring light into our darkness was a gift kind of like that. It was one blessing after another. And if we were writing thank you notes, we couldn't keep up. If you've been in church for a while, or if you would consider yourself to be a follower of Jesus, I want you to think about all of the good things that have come out of that relationship. Chances are you feel more peace. You feel like someone loves you and cares for you. Someone is looking out for you. You have someone to pray to. You have a guide that helps you make better decisions. You have a church that you can come to and friendships that have happened because of him. And the list goes on and on. It's like one blessing after another, one present after the next. And Jesus coming to earth was the beginning of something that just keeps going. Christmas isn't about the past. See, it's about the present. Our generosity works the same way. The Christmas spirit, that feeling of generosity that we all have this time of year, was never meant to make an appearance only at Christmas. Being generous should be continuous. Jesus coming into the world jump-started this process of God's love and generosity being poured out all the time on all people, one after another. And when we understand what we've been given, we're motivated to be generous, to give in the same way. God's desire for all of us is to take that generosity, that love that he offers us, and translate it into you and me pouring out that love and generosity on others. Now let's be honest. That's an easy thing to talk about. It's kind of even an easy thing to believe, but it's a really difficult thing to do. Becoming a generous person and continuing to live generously at a time other than Christmas, well, that's an uphill battle, and it takes a lot of work. It's not like leaving the Christmas lights up all year. That's just lazy. But to continue to be a light and continue to offer the same blessings Jesus offers us doesn't just come naturally. It takes something more. It takes practice. And practicing anything makes you better. Whether it's in sports or math or doing cartwheels, when you practice something enough times, you're going to get better at it. So the reason we're generous at Christmas is because we've gotten to practice being generous at Christmas. Then January through November, we find ourselves kind of out of practice. Practicing starts with something really easy. It starts with bringing the past into our present. We have to realize that we're doing more than just giving our time and our money. We're participating in a story that started 2,000 years ago when God first gave to us. We're working at shining a light into someone else's darkness because a light first came into our darkness. Then we just need to make the decision to do it. Make a simple decision to do one generous thing a month, a week, or every day. The goal isn't to be the most creative or the most dramatic. We don't need to try and dream up this incredible generosity story that'll be featured on the Ellen Show. The goal is to just be realistic and practical. Find someone's need and meet it. I want you to try it out this week. As you go through your town, as you pass by your school, as you see your friends, ask God to show you where the needs are so that you can step in and be generous. Ask Him, what is one thing I can do to be more generous? And you know what? I promise that when you begin to ask that question, you'll also begin to see more needs around you that you can help meet. Being generous should be continuous. The more needs you meet, the more you're practicing being generous. And the more you practice, the better you're going to get. And the better you're getting, the more the Christmas story is becoming a part of your everyday life. The more personal it's becoming, the more light you're shining into the darkness. The story and the spirit of the birth of Jesus will no longer be something that just happened 2,000 years ago, but it'll be something that continues to happen in your life, in your present. Do you remember when you were a kid? Christmas still had that magical feeling. You really believed that there couldn't possibly be a better day in the whole year. You looked forward to it with an expectation that nothing in your life compares to right now. You looked forward to it so much. Why? Because you were going to be getting something. Something you had wanted, something you had put on your Christmas list, something you had asked for. It was a present, and you couldn't wait to open it. But what you didn't know as a kid, and what most of us probably know now, was that there was something equally magical going on that we had no idea about. While we were experiencing the joy of getting something, our parents were experiencing the joy of giving something. The joy of seeing their kids rip into something that they had given was far better than receiving anything for themselves. I want you to have a taste of the joy that God has in giving to us. If you do it, I know it'll change you. In practicing generosity, you'd find more joy, more happiness in your life, but you'll also participate in changing the lives of other people. You'll be drawing the attention of the people in your world to their Heavenly Father. You'll be shining a light into their darkness, and in doing so, you'll make God's greatest gift a part of their present.